it. I'm just
he's hitting live, and I'm waiting for the screen to pop up.
okay. Cool. Let me know when you live. I'm gonna share it.
It says receiving content. It says I'm live, so
You are live.
we'll wait for people to populate the room a little bit. Everyone that's finally gonna come in. As you can see, we have Ms. Zaza Ali on today, our good sister, Ms. Zaza Ali. So we'll let some people populate the room, and I usually give them about 5 minutes, Zaza. That's what I do a little bit.
Okay.
You got what else is going on, Zaza? Since the last time we talked, it's been what shoot? It's just last year we talked.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Man, a lot is going on. I told you I'm just really kind of focusing on my writing right now and getting my third book done. Somewhere around the last year, I realized that my writing is how important it is to me, and how that's gonna kind of take me into, what I mean, that's gonna be my legacy, my writing, along with everything else that I've been doing. So I've taken some time off to really, really focus on my writing and my studying and my, all of the internal work that I want to do on me. You know what I mean? I've been focusing on yoga. I'm doing some training in Muay Thai now, and just, you know what I mean, like really, really getting ready so I can go full steam ahead.
Yeah, that's good. Like you said, you was mentioning yoga and health, and it's something that we've been focusing on too on our channel lately.
Yeah,
Because at least with myself, I've been finding out so much stuff about food and the chemicals they put in it,
yeah,
and definitely since I had developed this soy allergy, which has been the blessing from God for me. It's been just changing my world around and made me focus more on some other things along with this new doctor I have. So. It just trust me. It's so much stuff out there you realize it was killing us.
yeah. That's why I bought my first book, Scientific Intervention in Our Affairs. That's what I was talking about. Like a lot of the issues that we have, not only as far as like weight and physical issues, but like neurological issues, psychological issues. I mean, the emotional eating habits of our people, particularly our women. Like they've built whole industries based on Black women suffering and pain, and and being alone, and being, feeling less than. So they have a whole advertising market and whatnot that goes to the heart of all of that pain. It's a trip.
Yeah, definitely is. Everyone is joining the room. We're just doing some preliminary talking before we really get into the meat of the subject. But like I said, we have Ms. Zaza Ali on here today, and hey, the people agreeing with you about the health aspect. You're definitely right about that. And I've seen you talk about that on your channel as well, and we definitely need more of that because we've been taught to eat the most destructive foods, and like you say, we stress eat or we eat for comfort, and all the racism we deal with and financial issues. Sometimes the happiest thing we get is just to eat till it comes out our ears.
Exactly. That pleasure principle, trying to find any type of way to get pleasure. And a lot of not just our eating habits, but a lot of our behavior is centered around dysfunction, which, the name of my book, Plagues of Dysfunction, because I was like, there's so much dysfunctional activity in our psyche that we don't even realize, that's killing us. So, like for instance, in the book, I talk about chicken, and how for 30 to 40 years now, they have been pumping chicken with different hormones and steroids in order to create larger amounts of chicken. Now, chicken is the staple of Black American diet. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
when I talk to people, when they write me, they're like, I'm trying to change my health, but I can't give up chicken. Really? You know what I mean? Like, don't say I can't give it up. Say I can slowly, maybe I'll only eat it 3 or 4 times a week, or, maybe I'll broil it or bake it instead of frying it. But to say I can't give it up, like, and then when you find out what's actually in the chicken, what they're actually doing to these different meat products, to still say I can't give it up, that's insanity.
It is, and unfortunately, some of us just don't want to get out of certain habits. Like me, thank God, I've never been a person that I just had to have chicken or had to have meat or stuff like that. My thing was always grains.
Yeah.
And when my doctor told me no more grains, I was like, huh? And I was the biggest cereal connoisseur in the world. And I had to stop eating cereal. I had
Yeah.
to stop eating oatmeal, all that stuff that we normally eat,
Yeah.
rice. And you know, I didn't even know at one point in time, Zaza, that grains wasn't even meant for human consumption. Didn't even know that.
Yeah. It's a lot of things that when we go to and this is why it's important to emphasize. People think when you're talking about science and when you're talking about biology, they think about chemistry books and all of these difficult things that you really not interested in. But our bodies, it is a scientific phenomenon. You know what I mean? What we put in our bodies is impacting the cells. It impacts your hormones. It impacts your emotions. It impacts the way we interact with one another. It impacts your energy. You can't figure out why you don't have any energy, why you can't get up like a spring chicken at 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, you ate, a whole pizza yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So I think when we start teaching science and teaching mathematics and teaching physiology and things like that from that type of perspective where people can understand it, we'll get our people more interested in learning. Like, that's my goal, to get our people, particularly our young people, excited about learning, knowledge, the science of the body, the anatomy, things like that.
Correct. All right. Well, we got about 6 minutes, and we were just chattering. I see some of y'all enjoying the chatter about the chicken. And yes, listen. If you're gonna get chicken, either get some organic chicken or do old school. Get them yourself. Have them yourself, like we used to have. But thank everyone for joining us today. Zaza Ali has joined us, and we thank her very much for taking the time out of her day to join us. It's something she did not have to do, so we make sure blessings go her way. So Zaza, since the last time we've been here, what has changed? What's new? Let us know.
Well, first, let me just say that I am literally in the best space, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, of my life. And I'm so thankful, for you having me on the show. Peace and love to all of your listening audience. And I'm just in a really, really, really good space right now as a mother, as a teacher, as a student, as a researcher. I have my 2 books that, of course, I want to plug. Black Matters, Plagues of Dysfunction. I know we talked about this one last time I was on the show. Your viewers may not be aware, but Plagues of Dysfunction is my most recent book, and I definitely want you to support that. So I've been, pushing that book, and I've also been doing a lot of writing to get the trilogy, the final Black Matters book, which is called Lifting the Veil on Racism, White Supremacy, and it is dedicated to the legacy of Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, who has had a very strong impact on my life. So that book is due out in June. I've just been focusing on my writing, doing a lot of studying, a lot of researching, and not really doing a lot of traveling and speaking. But after this summer, after I release the 3rd book, I'll be coming to a city near you.
All right. So I was looking at, the table of contents that you have in the current book. Mm-hmm. And I'm very interested in definitely plagues of dysfunction. What do you define as a plague in our community?
Oh, man, there's so many plagues. When you say plague, you think of, an epidemic of flu or, some mass virus that hit, a whole bunch of people and wiped the town out. But to me, for instance, I put a post up on my Facebook page. I was quoting another brother, but he was talking about sex and the spiritual sex being a spiritual act, and to be careful about who you mate with, because you are taking in that energy. If they are crazy, they have bad energy, negative energy, you are taking that in, particularly women, because we are the receivers. And then it's vice versa for men. And when I tell you, and it never ceases to amaze me, one sister came on and then a couple of other people came on talking about, it's not that deep, stop that hotep, stuff. Sometimes you're just horny. Like, do you realize that being horny is a big reason why, if the statistic is true, 70% of our households are only headed by women? Like, we say jump off, the term jump off, like it's nothing, right? But jump offs lead to children without fathers. Jump offs lead to women who are not, and young girls and young sisters who are not emotionally and financially stable having children. So I think sex, and I'm actually going to write a short ebook about this, because it's just astounding to me how much disrespect we have of the act of sex, the act of creation, what happens in the body and in the mind and in the spirit when you partner with someone and give them your body, man and woman. So, sex is one great example of how we are so dysfunctional in the conversation. We are so aloof when it comes to the importance of the act. Well, everybody that has sex doesn't, she said everybody who has sex doesn't have to, isn't doing it to have children. Yeah, but if you know what I mean, if you have sex, unprotected sex on any given day, you can produce life. That's powerful. You know what I mean? So, sex is one instance where we are very dysfunctional. Our eating habits, like you and I talked about, I have people, even people in my family, like, well, I'm gonna die anyway. Yeah, but you got brothers and sisters who are like 40 years old walking around here looking like they're like 60. You know what I mean? Your face is gray, your skin is gray. You should be a beautiful dark skin or a brown skin. You got a gray undertone in your skin. You got acne everywhere. You got deadheads and all of this stuff coming up out of your skin. That's the food that you put into your body. Screaming, let me out. It is poison reeking through your skin, right?
Amen to that.
Yeah, so people will say, well, I'm gonna die anyway. You want to die at like 55 from a heart attack, or you want to die at, 100, 120, vibrant, still living, having seen the world, having, experienced a full and beautiful life. There's too much suffering in the Black community, and a lot of it, most of it, is at our own hands. Now, we could talk about police brutality. We could talk about the prison industrial complex. We can talk about all of that stuff, which I am going to do in my third book. But the reason why I put this second book out and wrote it is because we are ingrained into suffering. We are enveloped into stress. We don't even realize how much damaging things that we do to ourselves on a daily basis. I did a video, and I'm going to put this up later. Lil Wayne's daughter, Reginae Carter. Did you see this story? She got jumped over at Clark University in Atlanta.
They said, well, I saw the video. They said allegedly, so it really was her.
It was her. Everything that I've seen, because I pulled up some clips and some different stuff, it was her. And there's another clip where there's a different angle from the fight where there's a whole bunch of people surrounding them, and it really looks like her in that clip. It's going to be in my video. So you look at this situation, right? And sisters always get mad at me when like, well, Black women are doing fine. Men is the problem. No. There is a hell of a lot of stuff that's happening, inner turmoil in Black women. And in instances like this, whether it was Reginae Carter or not, I want to emphasize that because it may come out that wasn't even her, but it looked like her to me. Whether it was her or not, this bully type mentality that you're in college.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't middle school girls on the block somewhere and, you know what I'm saying, in the hood scrapping. You're in college. And these women acting like savages. Think about the young sister in Delaware who got jumped in the bathroom and ended up losing her life. Remember the story about Sharkeisha Jones, I think that was her name, where the girl walked up to her and just started bombing on her, and she ended up committing suicide. These are the plagues of dysfunction that I'm talking about, the things that are happening in our community, and we just kind of brushing it off like, well, that's not really important. We need to talk about economics. No, we need to talk about this insanity.
Exactly. I mean, and I'm glad you touched on that, because this is the thing, and I mentioned this, and some people didn't like when I say it like this. Zaza, I rather you kind of touch on the dysfunction that happens a lot with the women, because when a person like myself do it, they feel like as a male I'm bullying them at the time period, and he's saying it. Like, look, I see exactly what you see, and it infuriates me. When I saw that video, I'm gonna say it don't make no sense. Why y'all gotta sit up here and act like some doggone hood rats? You at a college. But come on now.
But you know what, brother? When you say they feel like they bullying you, like, I'm just gonna keep it all the way real. Like, a lot of these women are way too emotional and soft for me. And when I say that, it's because there's no way that you, as a man, as long as you are not being disrespectful and being all up in a woman's face and, you know what I mean, doing anything that is threatening, should not be able to give us guidance as women. I don't understand the pushback. Like the quote I put up that I was telling you about, it was from a brother. And this sister comes on and says this is that patriarchal mindset trying to keep women from being able to use their bodies. What the hell are you talking about? First of all, the fact that a man said it means nothing to me. I'm glad that we have men that understand the higher sciences of sex and spirituality. But when did we get to a point as women where we were that timid and that, you know what I mean, having people walking around on eggshells around us because we can't accept correction or guidance? I just gave like 5 situations that proves that we as women need guidance. So I'm here to say it, and I know that it comes across better when I say it because I am a woman. But I want to let you know, and the other brothers, as long as you come in with righteousness and with righteous intention, we need to hear your voices. We do. A lot of these young sisters don't have personal interaction with men that are willing to guide them or to check them. So don't stop. Just beware. You know what I mean? When you putting it out there, you're gonna attract some flies.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm concerned. Like I said, just as much as I'm concerned about a lot of the brothers and what they dealing with. 'Cause they dealing with a lot too.
Yeah.
And then just much like some of the sisters, definitely are dealing with a lot, and some of it's more complex than maybe what I think. Because, like, for instance, the hair issue. That's a big issue to sisters versus us as men. I mean, we want to do with our hair, and that's just the end of it. Cut it short like mine. We grow it out, dreadlocks, fro, whatever. I mean, I'm noticing it's an emotional thing.
It
too.
is emotional. It is.
And could you explain to me about the hair? Like, is it like a rejection thing? Like, of course, those Caucasians who take issue with sisters and their hair, but the moment they can copy it, they'll do it. So could you kind of explain that to me? Because as a man, sometimes I'm in the dark with it.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned this because, I was watching The Breakfast Club, and they had one of the founders of Shea Moisture on talking about the backlash that they've received from Black Twitter and Black women who felt like, because Shea Moisture had a video, something that they posted online that featured, a white woman and didn't have any women that were, true to their original clientele. Sisters were basically like, Shea Moisture is selling us out. I ain't supporting them. We need to boycott Shea Moisture. And what the guy was saying on the video is like, okay, yeah, we made a mistake. We should have, thought more carefully about the video, and we apologize to our customers or whatnot, but understand that we are trying to compete in a global market, and we don't want our business to phase out. So with that in mind, the black women are our staple clientele. They are our core, but we need you to understand that we want to branch out and to explore, in moisturizers and lotions and things that anybody can use. We are going to be soliciting to another clientele. He also said that they are currently 15,000 women and sisters in Africa, South Africa, I think he may have said. They are currently financially supporting 15,000 women in Africa. And they also have a lot of ongoing projects where they are supporting and helping Black girls and Black women all across the country. So in me, I already knew some of this. I didn't know how, about the situation in Africa. But I'm just like, hold on, press pause for a second. Like, first of all, why are you so mad? Number one, you know what I'm saying? Because we just talking about this is a hair company, you know what I mean? Like, just slow down a little bit. There's no reason for us to be going haywire online about hair products, particularly when we don't really put that much emphasis in other things that are more important in our community. Number two, like, we need to start doing a little bit more research. We need to start looking into these things instead of just always standing at the window like, yeah, I knew somebody was giving. I knew they were going to get over us. I knew they were going to leave us. Like, we have these knee-jerk reactions because we expect the worst from our people. Hair, Black women in hair is timeless. You know what I mean? Like, whether, like, I got my hair up in a ponytail right now. I might have a fro tomorrow. Last time I was on the show, I had curly hair, and I saw some people putting up comments talking about my hair, talking about, you know what I mean, me being light-skinned and whatnot like that, all of those things. Then you got sisters with afros. Then you got sisters with weaves. Then you got sisters with perms. Then you got sisters with flat irons. All of it's beautiful. All of it is a reflection of the diversity and the different shades of Black women, right? But it's not just how your hair looks. There is a science behind your hair follicles, the curliness, the kinkiness of your hair follicles. And what I said in my book, Plagues of Dysfunction, is that women who consistently wear hair weave, or who wear those lace front wigs, or who wear those wigs and cover up their whole entire scalp, are not permitting the sun and to penetrate the scalp, which is the first entering of the sun, that vitamin D, and that melanin penetration, which stimulates the pineal gland. So, and then as I was writing this, right, and I was doing the research, and I was like, this is why all them women on The Real Housewives are out of their damn minds, because they all got you know what I mean, this full, long, illustrious hair that never gets to rest, that never gets to breathe. The sun is not fully penetrating their scalp, so they're missing a whole cosmological connection, if you will, that's supposed to happen, that is keeping us going, that's giving us energy, that's giving us life, that's giving us rhythm, that's giving us the connection to the creator, right? So you have that. You have women in disenfranchised countries like India and Korea who are having their hair cut off. And in India, hair is a very important stature. Women with very long, beautiful hair are revered in those communities. So you have these women who have poor husbands, or who are, you know, whatever the situation is, who are forced to cut their hair. So they're mourning, they're sorrowful, they're angry, they're bitter, they're upset. You're cutting that hair, packaging it up, shipping it overseas, and now black women who are already emotionally high strung and strained are putting that hair, which holds energy, which holds a frequency, onto their own scalp, and they are taking in all of that energy. Now I'm gonna end this with this. If people who think that that's a little too scientific, or yeah, that's a little too much, if anybody who's had static in their hair before, when you comb your hair and your hair sticks up, that's energy in your hair. When the Rastas cut their hair off, they cut it off because they want to leave past negative energy. Your hair holds and emits energy. So for us as black women, I think as much as we love to be beautiful and to represent ourselves in different ways, there's nothing wrong with that. But we need to kind of start looking at this with a spiritual eye and from the perspective of God, opposed to just, I want to be fly and I want to be cute. Not to mention the fact that, you know, how much money we place into the hair care industry, and we won't put anything into our schools. Black libraries, not libraries in the black community, but also bookstores are suffering all across this country. How come we can't set 50 million of that 500 million or a billion, depending on who you ask? How come we can't take that money and put it to the side and start funneling that into our own institutions?
That's a good question, because last figure I read that 7.6 billion annually is what sisters spend on the beauty industry.
Yeah.
And you know, the Shea Moisture thing, because you know, I just did my first reaction to it, and I did a first video. I was saying the same thing. You say, well, what's the big deal? They trying to expand, but then as I was educated on some things about the product itself, that they changed the formula and it's not doing the same thing what it used to do. And then when they seen this commercial come out, they was putting like two and two together. Then we did some research based off of what a sister was showing us, that is a lot of white women in the background in the marketing department all over that company, marketing to black women. Yeah. So once we kind of put two and two together, see, he's still not answering that question.
Well, he addressed the issue about them changing the formula, and he said that they didn't change the formula. They have new products that they, you know, are adding new. They're adding new variety to their what they do. But I use Shea Moisture for the shampoo and the conditioner. It's the same to me. It's exactly the same as it's always been. I don't use the milks and the pudding and all of that. I use it Camille Rose, which is another black-owned company, which I love. So, you know, if they changed it and you don't like the formula anymore, then by all means, you shouldn't be using it. But we buy white products all the time, and we don't scrutinize them the way we scrutinize our own. You know what I'm saying? Like if Tide changed, you know, took 5 ingredients out of what they normally had in Tide, and then put it on the bottle and said, hey, we changed this, like, we wouldn't be all up in arms like that. And I know it's, you know, hair products versus, you know, detergent. But I'm just saying, like, I think that if you have an issue with the actual formula and you didn't voice that before, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just we need to be a little bit more considerate and careful about how we approach these type of things, especially if you don't know that to be true. Nothing's changed to me.
Yeah, well, you know, I say about it and how I ended my video. It's like, listen, you know, they need to fix it all the way around. That's how I feel about it. I don't want to see any business in our community destroyed, even though Bain Capital owns a percentage of it, which is Mitt Romney. Well, it used to be Mitt Romney's venture capital group, which that's very interesting. A Republican that had comments about us. But aside from that, I just read them to fix it. I don't want them to be just utterly destroyed. I never said that. Like you said, we got to be careful there because they have white-owned companies that do wrong every day.
Yeah,
every day.
Absolutely.
And we still go back.
Let me say something because I just peeked at the chat room and I never look at the chat room, but I just so happened to go back on the live stream. Somebody said, I'm putting all the blame on women. I'm a woman. So for me as a woman, I don't particularly address us because I feel like all the blame is on us. No, in my book and in everything I do, I give equal assessment to our men versus our women. I emphasize women because I know our power. I know our potential. I know what we can accomplish when we are in our right minds. This is the other thing that when I wrote the post, when I put the post up about the spiritual sexuality or whatever, the brothers came on and said, you always blaming the men. Why don't you talk about women and their decisions? Why do we always do that? Why do we always, if I'm addressing situations that are problems that are wrong with women, is anything I'm saying wrong? Am I lying? Are we lying right now, brother? Are we not talking?
No, they're not going to say you're lying. This is what they're going to do because whether it's the men or the women, they don't want to take responsibility. Okay. Me, I'm more about the men. I'm not going to get on women because the men is supposed to be the leader in the community.
Exactly.
And don't tell me, well, if this women fix their attitude, if they can fix the hair, they did say that. Like, man, I don't care what women doing. Yeah. I care about what we doing. We supposed to be the leaders, not them.
Yeah,
it's out of order if they leading us.
And I just wanted to say that because I notice anytime these conversations come up, and we can talk about men for the rest of it. I'm not specifically honing in on women. We just going in a certain direction. But anytime it comes up, everybody points fingers. I'm not built like that. I take accountability for myself as a woman for the mistakes I've made, for the, you know what I mean? When I'm in error, I'm not sitting back and pointing the finger on anybody else. I'm looking at myself. So as I address these subjects, it's always going to be from a position of us as women accepting accountability and moving out from there.
Correct. And I definitely agree with you because, we waste so much time on what I say like old school stuff, shenanigans. It's a waste of time and we're not getting nowhere. Don't talk about the men. Don't talk about the women. Why are you blaming the men? Why you blame it? Like, okay, well, we all got to take responsibility for what's wrong in our community. Come on. I mean, who is it? It's so easy to point blame everything the white folks. Listen, the white folks got a lot to do with it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we have to take responsibility of some of the things that we are doing too.
Exactly.
They're not forcing us to spend the money we're spending on frivolous things.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I mean, we can't blame them on that. There's a lot of things that we can't blame on them.
Yeah.
So the things that we have to talk about. And until we take responsibility, it's kind of like anytime you need some help. If you're an alcoholic, until you realize that I am an alcoholic, okay, now I can get some help.
Exactly.
And we don't want to take responsibility sometimes.
I agree.
But further, also in your book, that's interesting. When you had a title says when drama validates your existence. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, in that particular now this is there's 3 sections: Black Girl Lost, dealing with Black women; A People of Sport and Play, dealing with all of us, people in general as a people; and then the last one is a message to the Black man in America. So that particular one, when drama validates your existence, is dealing with sisters. And so I gave one of the specific examples was the Janae Rice situation. Remember when the football player punched his wife, knocked her out in the elevator, mm-hmm. and all of the hoopla that surrounded that. And so obviously, he was out of line. It was wrong. It was totally just, we could talk about what he did wrong to the moon and back. That goes without saying. Like, he could have killed her with just a punch. And I've dated athletes before. Like, I know that power and that strength. And so that's okay. So we're clear on that. The point that I was making in the book, and I addressed some of the commentary, the conversation about it, that, the talking heads, right, is that she spit in this man's face. She spit in his face. That's one of the most disgusting things you can do to another human being. And so, and I don't know what happened. You know, the way it looked to me when a woman is interacting and arguing with a man like that, I was like, oh, that was about another woman. That's what I got from it. But I don't know, that never came out. But the point was, women who are in relationships and they are tired and they're constantly dealing with, you know what I mean, getting cheated on, or he's not doing what he's supposed to do, or he's not, whatever his inadequacies are, if you don't leave him or he doesn't change, the dysfunction of the relationship starts to escalate. So now you've gone from crying and you trying to get him to listen to you and he's not listening. Now you putting your hands on him, or now you're spitting in his face. So the point that I was making in the book is, a lot of times women escalate in the drama in the relationship because they know that they are in a relationship with a man that they need to leave. If your wife spit in your face, or I'm in a relationship with a man who spit in my face, that's a sign to me. Okay, this is you know what I mean? Like, we just crossed the line. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead.
Yeah, I agree, because to me, like, I couldn't be with a woman that do a few things to me. If she spit in my face, if she calls me the B word,
yeah,
if she try to slap me, anything to emasculate me, I can't be with you no more.
Yeah.
Because once a woman crosses the plane of respect for you, that's it.
Exactly.
She would never respect you as a man, no matter what you do, because she felt it's okay to disrespect you like that. Now, at the same time, I don't know what he did to her to disrespect her. Right. That's why, like you said, the drama, I was kind of looking at that, because some people have relationships full of drama. Me, I don't do drama very well.
I don't either.
I say I'm too old for that. I'm like Danny Glover on that now. I'm too old for this.
I don't either. And so whatever he did to provoke her, because I'm pretty sure he did something to provoke her. I don't think she just spit in his face for nothing. I think, you know what I mean? Whether it was a woman or another woman or whatever, you're in this relationship. You know you're not going to leave. You know he's not going to leave. So the drama and the dysfunction just keeps getting higher and higher. You got to do more now. You know what I mean? You got to hit him now. You got to spit in his face now, because there is no consensus in the relationship that, okay, you need to change and I need to change. And so the other part that I made was that I didn't appreciate the fact that you have this very public domestic violence situation taking place, and there was no real agenda to have a conversation with young women and young girls who are watching this, who may be in dysfunctional relationships or may end up in dysfunctional relationships, to be like, look, this is something that happened to me. I love this man. We're trying to work it out, but don't stay in a relationship if a man does this to you, or don't do this to another man to provoke him to do it to you. Like, I just didn't appreciate the fact that there was not an agenda to express this to young girls and young brothers, to help them to cultivate how to be in a relationship.
Correct. And also, you're talking about relationships, and I hear a lot of, women say this, and I talk to a lot of brothers. We can go scientifically and say, okay, black men has the highest degree of testosterone out of any man. And that affects a whole lot of things with training, while, we don't need the supplementation of others, while we get bigger muscles, we're faster, XYZ, but also affects libido. Now, at the same time, one thing that a lot of women are complaining about, maybe you could touch on this as well. I like to call it, me personally, black man-itis. And what I mean by black man-itis is you can't commit to nothing because you think you're going to miss some skirt out there. And if you got somebody, it's so easy for you to cheat. I don't know what it is with some brothers with that, but like they can be 40, 50 years old. Man, I can't be slowing down. Man, she want to be in a relationship. I feel smothered. Smothered for what, man? Like we are talking about that king and queen stuff. You gotta pick one woman to build something with.
Yeah.
And I don't get it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just too old school about it, but I don't get it.
No, you're not. You're right and exact. Because even if we looked at it from the God's perspective or from the Creator's perspective, the union of one man and one woman is what it takes to set this whole thing off. Is what creates life. And I've seen brothers who are in the community who are leaders who are teaching this concept that it's not natural to a man to be monogamous and to be with one woman. And it's basically an alibi for our men to not be disciplined and focus on building families and on keeping their families together. So, you have, I think that a lot of that stems from a lot of our men have never seen healthy, functional relationships. And I'm not just talking about two-parent households, because I know people who grew up in two-parent households that were absolutely insane, that had dysfunction, you know what I mean, that had domestic violence, that had, the father didn't talk to the children, he didn't hug the boys, he didn't hug the daughters. There's a lot of layers to that. But never having, so I'm talking about healthy, organic relationships where when there's problems, we communicate and we talk it out. If there's, whatever we go through it together, So a lot of times when people cheat, particularly men, and I've seen a lot of different interviews and writings about this, it's because they feel like they're not being fully satisfied in the household. They're not getting everything that they want. They're not being pleased, or they don't feel emotionally appreciated or validated. Brothers, if you feel like that in your relationship, trust and believe me, 9 times out of 10, she feels like that too. So now there's a reciprocal relationship where, you know what I'm saying? Nobody's happy. Nobody's being satisfied. So now you stepping out of the relationship, she may or may not cheat. That's another level of dysfunction. But I think that it's important, especially for you as a brother, to sit here and say that's weak to me for a man to not be able to commit to a woman. These brothers talk about it ain't no good women out here. I'm going to Brazil to find me a good woman. I know so many good women that have been ran through and played on and played with by men who got great jobs and who are great mothers and who are, may not be perfect, but they're good quality women. And for the right man to come along and breathe that missing element of life into her, she could grow and flourish into being a great woman. You know what I mean? But we keep running through these brothers that are playing and that are men in men's bodies and have children's minds and children's emotions and children's dispositions, and it's setting us back as women. So this is why, when we talk about how the brothers always try to blame the women, I had to say on another interview that I did, like, hold on, let's not go too far with this, because our women are being raped in our communities every day. You know what I'm saying? Our women are being left without children every day in our communities. Our young girls are being preyed on and sexually trafficked around the world by our men. Yes, other men are doing it too, but we should be most focused on our men. So I think that there is a, manhood training is in order. In Africa and ancient civilizations, we had rituals when boys turned 13 and 14 years old in order for them to be able to navigate the environment that they're in, and also to understand, okay, now you're growing into manhood. You have a different level of responsibility. Some of this comes from women babying their sons. Some of it comes from women
I hate that.
abusing their children, right? Kendrick Lamar talked about in Fear, how this whole concept of his mother, how she always threatened to whoop him and whoop him and whoop him. And, when you're growing up in the hood, that's a part of the culture. But there's a lot of things that lead to this. But just the concept that men are not capable of loving one woman, capable of being faithful, capable of holding a household down, like we really as a people believe that. And I think that that's insanity.
Well, what you were saying, and while I was looking at one comment, they were saying that I don't understand it. I talk to a lot of brothers. My thing is, when I was speaking about the brothers who don't want to really commit, feel smothered, the thing, I don't like fake women. I don't like fake women, or you can use Donald Trump line, very fake. I don't like just fake women. And my thing is, when you're talking to all these different women, they want something out of you. Yeah. And what they want is your money. Some of them, if you have a good job, brother, you better really watch yourself, because she's going to try to get you and get you caught up on child support. And then now she got you for 18 years. And if you lose that good job, you're going to jail. That's my thing. So I think is, try to find one woman that got your back, that you ain't got to literally spend a dime for. She just love your dirty draws type of woman. That's all I'm saying. You're not gonna find too many women that love your dirty draws, or rub some Vicks Vapor Rub on your chest if you sick, or get you some hot tea or whatever and just take care of you. You're not gonna find that too much.
Well,
you're not.
Let's be clear, brother. This. You know what I mean? The fake woman who's trying to get your money and trying to, you know what I mean, get you for child support. That's a small segment of black women, which I talk about in my book as well.
Hold on, Zaza. Hold on for a second. Hold on, what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
I'm just saying that in general. It
Yes.
ain't just
Okay. I know.
one group of women. That's a general statement I'm
I
using.
know. I know. And so in your generalization, right? Brothers have to be mindful that while you want a woman that treats you like Felicia Rashad treated Bill Cosby, but you on Instagram lusting after women that look like video chicks, that mindset, there's an oxymoron there. You got to pick one. You know what I'm saying? You got to pick. You want to lust after you know what I mean, the voluptuous, curvaceous, beautiful, you know what I mean, exotic woman, right? But then you don't understand why her mentality, which them women, especially the ones who are all over social media, are some of the most insecure and sick people, because they're online crying out for attention, and the only attention that they're getting is based on how they look. So mentally and spiritually and emotionally, they're all over the place, but they got the look. I just want to say that, be mindful that you might be attracting a certain type of thing based on physical, but then you're not really looking to attract that mental and that emotional and that spiritual element that might not come in that package that you exactly wanted to.
Well, this is what I tell guys about women like that. If all a woman's trump card to you is her body, and she ain't worth nothing. Because I need to be looking at you like a mystery.
Yeah.
Like maybe your smile needs to get me. Maybe your personality.
Yeah.
You need to be a go-getter. Like I'm not trying to. I don't care if you look good, because one time your beauty gonna fade. I don't care how much plastic surgery they do. I'm stuck with you. And if you got a nasty attitude, you can't do good with money, you got a horrible credit score, you don't know how to feed the kids right, you're not a mother, you just but you just a look. Forget that. And usually that's what happens with them guys. They get with those Instagram girls, and they realize they ain't nothing but an empty shell.
Yeah.
And that's why they leave and go do something else.
I agree.
And I never approve men chasing. That's why I don't understand these guys' infatuation with strippers nowadays in our community. I'm like, man, why you want to throw your money in the trash?
Oh my God. I'm like, when I was coming up, I was like, you know what I mean? Even the way the women dress now, like, you look like a stripper. You know what I'm saying? Like those shoes that these women wear now with the platform in the front. Like when I was coming up, strippers wore those shoes. You know what I mean? It's like this culture now where, the whole slut shaming argument. You know what I mean? If you identify yourself as a slut, you should feel ashamed. I'm sorry. That's the type of cloth that I'm cut from. That doesn't mean that people should embarrass you or disrespect you. No. But I'm saying if you actually like live your life identifying with a slut type behavior, that's pure madness. So I don't get when my friend went out of town and was like, yeah, we went to the strip club. What? Why would you go as a woman go to a strip club? Like I don't understand that. It's part of the culture now.
I don't get it either, because I tell people, people say, let's go. I said, listen, I've never entertained a strip club, and I'm going to tell you why. It's two reasons why. Number one, I said, I'm not going to have no woman messing with me like that. Number two, I'm not going to give some woman my money like that. That's just stupid. Yeah. I said, I'd rather just have, my wife and give my time and attention to her. And then if she's teasing me like that, I could do something about it. Them kind of women, if you do something about it, you're tricking. And you don't know what kind of disease is up in there. It just, you don't know. I don't know. I don't like germs like that. So you can call it whatever you want. But, we got to change, because we have a lot of these guys thinking they won something nowadays, and they get a stripper. Yeah. I like a stripper. Yeah. Every dude in town being with this stripper, or you got these rappers now impregnating strippers. Like, dude, you got money, some of them, and you could travel whatever country you want to, or get the best women you could in America, and you go get a stripper.
And now she's going to have your child. And now that whole mentality is going to be embedded in your child. It's not just when the child is born that the baby comes out. Now, okay, she starts to impact him. No, that child is being produced in the womb of a woman that has the mind of a stripper. Now, I'm not saying, all strippers are, less than, or that there's probably some sisters out here. I know sisters go to college and strip at a part-time in order to be able to go to college and whatnot. I'm not generalizing that whole community, but I'm saying, if you wrote the script, would you write the script to where your child would be born from the womb of a woman who actually stripped? That's crazy. That goes back to the sexual element. And understanding the power of what you produce with your body and your anatomy and who you lay with, not just how they look, not just how good the sex is, but who you lay with actually impacts you in ways well beyond that 5 minute or that 20 minute or that 1 hour orgasm.
Now, this is something that you. Oh, I want to hear this, and I already know that the comment section will go crazy. What do you mean about death to the strong black woman? What do you mean by that?
Well, the title is kind of a play on words, but basically what I was saying was I quoted a few different sources that women that were talking about, black women need to stop calling themselves strong. Nobody else does that. Nobody else, you know what I mean? Like, why do we do that? Black women have done this. The black woman, that margin of our community now, women who blame black women for everything. So I'm like, where in the hell would we be if black women weren't strong? Like, we need our women to be strong right now. Not strong like, I don't need no man snapping your fingers and rolling your eyes, you know what I'm saying? And thinking because you got a car, you can pay your own car note, and because you know what I mean, pay your own bills, that you independent. No, there's no such thing as independence. All of us are part of one whole. I'm talking about, and when I say strong, understanding that being strong is not just I can pay my own bills and I can take the trash out. Being strong is also being vulnerable. Being strong is also being honest with yourself about your flaws and things that you need to work on, like the type of men you attract. Being strong is like Khalif Browder's mother. You mean to tell me we gonna tell that sister she don't need to be strong? She needs to stop. You know what I mean? She don't need to be strong. She's raising a family in a war zone. Her husband walked out on her. We need our women to be strong, but what we need is for our women to conceptualize what strength actually is from a feminine perspective, from a woman's perspective. You got single mothers out here raising boys that don't have any men in their lives. You have to start to think not like a man. Don't think like a man. Your power isn't thinking like a woman, but looking at the world through your son's eyes and helping to sculpt and mold him in a way that's going to grow him into manhood. So using different men and different experiences and different things in the community and sports and whatnot to cultivate his manhood. If there's no man around, you have to, as a woman, you have to be mentally strong like that. I did an interview and the brother said, what do you say to the single women out here who are basically like, I can't do this on my own. I'm a single mother, and I'm just like, she's ready to throw her hands up and she's just tired. And I'm like, first of all, change your language. You're not a single mother. The minute you say that, you are putting out a certain type of energy to your children as well as to the universe. So black women who don't have men in their lives, your children should never hear you say, I'm a single mother. Even if you are a single mother, just the fact that you are saying that to them is giving them a perspective of lack. My mom's out here doing it by herself. She's on her own. We don't have a man in our lives. That's what every time you say that around your children, that's the seed that you're putting in their mind. So stop operating from a perspective of lack and stop making your children carry that burden, because that's what children naturally do. So I think it's just, changing the conversation about strength. Black women have to be strong. We're watching black men get murdered on the news. You know what I'm saying? How do you get through that without being strong? It's just rephrasing the conversation about what strength actually is. And I'm sick and tired of these sisters who have become cheerleaders for men now, who build their whole platforms around, blaming everything on black women, constantly talking about strong black women. Be balanced in your assessment of the situation. Don't blame everything on black women. Don't blame everything on black men. Let's look at the full picture and place the responsibility where it goes so we can actually start making progress instead of just talking.
You're right about that, because, like I said, it's so easy to point blame at everybody else, but it's harder to point the finger at you and what you're doing to contribute to that behavior. But you were saying about the women, one thing that I see that one issue, at least with some of the women, is when they say I'm the mother and the father. And that's the biggest mistake ever, because you can be the best mother in the world and be that. But you can't be a father. And even if the dad is non-existent, he could be passed away, locked up 30 years in jail, whatever. Find a good brother to help, show this young boy manhood so he won't go the wrong way. Because I'm going to tell you, Zaza, what usually happens, these boys get around 12, 13, 14. That's the age they switch from your little boy to growing up into a teenager into a man. And if you don't have the right guidance, you're going to lose them. That's why they go to the streets and gangbang, because they're looking for some sort of male camaraderie that they can't get from their mom and their sister.
Absolutely.
So that has to be understood and put out there. I think it's offensive for you to want a Hallmark card and for Hallmark to even market Hallmark cards to you on Father's Day. That should piss you off.
It's very offensive.
But they don't market that to white women.
It's very offensive. And, not only that, if you telling your son, or your son lives in an environment where the conversation is, I'm the mother and the father, so what's his concept of fatherhood when he has his own children? Mm-hmm. What is in his mind as he's growing up? What does he look at to foster a conception of what fatherhood looks like? Now, this is a whole underlying psychology now about why our boys are being emasculated. Kanye West, when he was being interviewed at one time, he talked about how he noticed that he was developing feminine traits, how he talked, how he walked, how he acted, because his mother was his world. And she, of course, was a real sister, you know what I mean? But he said that his love for the clothing industries, for fashion, and a lot of other things came from his mother's inspiration. Now, that's a beautiful thing. But the flip side of that is that how he talked about how he talked and how he walked and whatnot. That's not the image that we want our sons to be striving to. And sisters can say, well, what am I supposed to do? There's no man in my life. There might not be a man in your life, but there are plenty of men on the planet. There are plenty of different ways and methodologies that you can use to show your children manhood. If you're a single mother and you got a son, he should be in martial arts, sports, basketball. I'm in Atlanta. Oh my God. Every single coach is black. All of the coaches are black. The martial arts instructors. And then, of course, reading about Mumia Abu-Jamal, reading about Marcus Garvey, reading about Elijah Muhammad, reading about Imhotep, reading about Shaka Zulu, reading about all of the great men that have come before them, because it's not just the visual perspective. Of course, we want the visual perspective present. But if you don't have that, there are a lot of different ways that women can introduce their sons to manhood without saying, I'm the mother and the father. That's retarded. Nobody else does that. That's very disrespectful, not only to men, but also more importantly, to our children.
See, this is why we have a generation, and we talked about this, of Steve Stevens. And the guy that did the killing on the elderly brother, the one on, Facebook and all that other stuff. We have a whole generation of Steve Stevens right now because of that. Yeah. He blamed his girlfriend. He blamed his mama. He's emotional. So he's going to act out like some woman would act out if she's really emotional. They don't know how to deal with women. They don't know how to operate. And that's what we have a lot of in our community. Yeah. And it's sad. And you could tell every time I see them kind of guys, I know they didn't have a father around. It's easy to pick up on it. You watch how emotional they are. You even watch how they are calling another man the B word like a woman would say it. Yeah. They saying disses to each other now to do fellatio to another man as a diss. How is that a diss?
That's very, that's.
I mean, this is the sick thing that we got in our community right now.
But check this out. So I talked about in my book, in the where I was talking about our sons and how they are being mismanaged and misraised. How Lil Wayne, when he was coming up, he was 11 years old, and he talked about, and I quoted the transcript of when he was talking about it, how he was in a room with like 30 people, and Baby and some of the other brothers brought a woman in to give him or to have sex with him for his first time. So he's 11 years old. He's a virgin. He's having sex for the first time in a room full of people, a lot of brothers, and everybody's egging him on and calling her bees and all out of her name and whatnot. Baby is supposed to be his father figure. And I was saying to myself, there is an element of pedophilia in that. Not that any of the brothers in there actually raped Lil Wayne, but that you as a man could be in the room watching a young boy having sex like that. There's a sickness, a twisted aspect of that. And I know a lot of brothers that, you know what I mean, that I came up with that had experiences, maybe not with 30 people in the room, but may have had 2 or 3 cousins or an uncle or something in the room. There's a sick element to that when you have a child, and my son's 13. So you talk about 12, 13, 14. I know all about it. And he's a real alpha male. But there's a sick pedophilia type of incestual aspect of that I think deserves our attention when we're looking at what our sons are growing up into. So Chris Brown was had sex for the first time when he was 8 years old with a 14-year-old girl. Now you fast forward, he's in a car with Rihanna and beat her face to a pulp. He's obviously, that brother's not emotionally well. He's strung out on drugs. I'm not saying he's a drug addict, but if he was a regular brother, he'd probably be in, somewhere broken and desolate. But because he has money, he can sustain his addiction. But clearly he has issues. So there's a lot of things that we, men, women and men, a culture that we are breeding our sons in, that's creating the Steve Stevens of the world.
Correct. And also you mentioned Chris Brown. I'm glad you mentioned him, because Chris Brown was really on the straight and narrow. And even and it's like when Michael Jackson made one comment about him, it's like they went after him. Michael Jackson said that he was going to be the next big thing. Yeah. Because Michael saw the way he sung, the way he danced. Yeah. And it's like, oh, hell no, we ain't have another Michael Jackson come up here.
And Chris Brown has a revolutionary spirit, though. You'll see him every now and then when he'll talk about things pertaining to the black community. They see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it bothers me to see brothers that make it out of whatever situation you in. You can come from the worst hood in Houston. You come from Acres Homes, Sunnyside, wherever, right? Mm-hmm. You'll get out of that, make all this money, then you want to come back and hang around that. Like, why? Yeah. And then you wonder why you getting beat up in the hood or somebody robbing you. Like, them dudes hungry down there, and you coming. Like, I don't understand why we want to relate to that lifestyle. Well, that's not a lifestyle we want to live.
But that's also because, they don't fit up in that Hollywood space. And as dysfunctional as we think the hood is, they go up in that Hollywood environment and start to see how real savage it is. These are people who have money, who are real sick, who are doing some demonic sexual orgy type stuff, and they want to get away from that type of energy and go back to, you know what I'm saying, a lesser evil, if you will. I ain't saying it's right, but I think that's part of the psychology behind it.
Yeah, it's true. Them people, yeah, I get what you're saying about them people being full of the devil. Boy, I seen some stuff, where you had what's that young man name? Not Corey Haim. What's the other one? Ooh. That was with Corey Haim. God, my name. I see his face, but my name is blank. My head is blank. Y'all tell me what's his name? Not Corey Haim, but is it Corey Feldman? Right? You remember the interview he did talking about all the pedophilia in Hollywood and all this stuff that go on? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just some sick stuff. So you know how sick them folks is. In the moment somebody want to blast them, somebody end up dead.
There's a famous artist, I can't remember her name. She makes cakes. They have Hollywood parties now. She makes cakes that are designed like bodies. So a full cake, right? The same, you know what I mean? I'm 5'9.5". So imagine me as a cake. They bring the cake into the party, roll it in. They have this big grand entrance, and they take knives and they cut the body slice by slice from the tip of your toes to the top of your hair, and everybody eats the cake. The inside of the cake is red. They cut the breast, they cut the vagina, they cut the penis. It's one of the most sick things I've ever seen in my life. It's on YouTube. I can't remember the name of it. But it's like Google satanic cake Hollywood and you'll be able to find it. And you got these big time Hollywood celebrities that are at this party, and everybody in the audience kind of looks like they don't have anything in their eyes. They don't have anything in their soul. So yeah, that's a whole nother world.
Oh yeah, now you know what, and all that stuff you're saying right now, like I said this morning, that's why the Lord dealing with them. And that's why they can't have no children and they barren and everything else. So the whole circle of life is coming right back around with all the evil stuff that they're doing. I concur. So, Zaza, I definitely thank you for joining us today on the show. I mean, I definitely appreciate your knowledge. And, You need to come back. A year can't be, no, it can't be a year next
No,
time.
I will come back. I'll definitely come back. Anytime you want me to come, just hit me up. And you know, I'm there. I feel like we just had a conversation that people just were, you know what I mean, listening into. So anytime you want me to come back, I'm there. And I want to make sure I tell everybody, you know, go to my website, www.zazaali.com. Support my books. We were talking earlier about how YouTube now is cutting the monetization on Black channels. So, you know, money that I usually would use to pay bills, you know, because I put a lot of work into, you know, my time and editing videos and researching. I don't just go on and just be like, okay, well, I'm going to talk about, you know what I mean, what this celebrity is doing. No, I'm talking about real serious conversations, vaccinations, water, you know what I mean? Things that are important to our community. So it takes me time to research this stuff and put this on. So YouTube now is like, no, we ain't giving you no more monetization. So that's money that I was making using to supplement my income because I am self-employed. So go to my website, purchase the books. That's a reciprocal relationship. You give, I give. You can donate on my website. I also have a crowdfunding campaign that I'm working to do nature and knowledge-based retreats for young people. So I worked with the Boys and Girls Club, volunteering and working with, you know, knuckleheads, young brothers and sisters that like we're talking about in this conversation. I want to take them, pull them up out of their element, take them out of the concrete jungles, and take them into nature-based environments and talk about things like what we're talking about now. Talk about hygiene, talk about diet, talk about genetically modified food, talk about sex, talk about anatomy, talk about male-female relationships, talk about police brutality, talk about any and every, talk about nature, talk about science, talk about history, talk about math, anything that is important to raising the consciousness of our young people, including hood fights. I want to talk about all of that. So I'm asking for the community to support me and reciprocate what I've already given over the past 5 years so that I can do this. And not only I want to start off in Oakland, take them out to Lake Tahoe, but then I want to come back to Atlanta. I found a place 2 hours outside of here where I can take 20 young people and do the same thing, and then go to Brooklyn, and then go to LA, and then go to, you know, Chicago. And I have sources in all of these places that are on the ground that have access to these young people. So we got to start making these relationships reciprocal. Because a lot of times our people want to just stand back and look at the people that are doing what they want to do or what they think should be done. And then, like, I'm trying to take it to the next level and people keep saying you only talking. Well, no, I've done a lot more than talk over the past 5 years. My track record is proven, just like I know your track record is proven. And you talked about how, you know, it's hard to get our people to support us, but then you got white listeners and different people of nationalities that's sending you money like it's nothing. It's time for our people to get off the sidelines and get involved. Even if you don't support me, support people in your community that are actually working with the Khalif Browders. So that before the brother ends up in jail and ends up getting tortured and terrorized and ends up killing himself, when you still have a segue and an avenue into his mind, you going and being proactive and working with these young people. So everything, you can find all the information on my website. I also have a Sister Cipher support group that financially supports Black women. All of our money that we raise goes directly to our sisters. All of that's on my website. And just, you know, like I said, make it reciprocal. And I appreciate you, brother, for the platform, for the conversation, and for everything that you do. Keep up the good work, and thank you so much for having me.
Well, you know, Sister Zaza, like I said, thank you for just definitely bringing some knowledge to the platform, even a different conversation that maybe I may not get into. That's why I like, you know, doing the interviews with people. And Sister Zaza is actually the first person that we ever did an interview live. We normally record them and go with it. So she was gracious enough to give us a thumbnail real quick. We got to do it. And when I say this stuff, I had to do that on the fly. Yeah. She sent it to me. I like to say, I'm my own sound guy, my own stuff right here on the fly. It's a lot of stuff that you guys don't see go into it. And I was with Brother Derek Muhammad this morning, and, you know, something he said, I really, you know, stuck with me. He said, you know, we don't appreciate nothing until it's gone. Because he said, you know, every time I go to my phone, every day, I see an upload from you, and I can get some news from you. He said, and then a day I don't see it, or even 2 days, I'm like, what's wrong with Phil? Yeah. Where is it at? What's going on? He said, then I see you put up something. So when we talk about supporting, and even Zaza talking about supporting her and the things that she has going on, it's to help us keep going and doing what we do. So when we say that supporters on Patreon for a minimum of $5 a month, don't let it get to the point where it says, you know what, we just not uploading nothing, at least publicly. We just upload it on Patreon. Then you're like, well, I'm not getting the information.
Exactly.
I mean, if you enjoy what you heard today, and it's many other people that you don't know is coming on. I want more and more people to come on so we have these conversations. It's support. I mean, we have enough people here to do that. Yeah. And I don't know about Zaza's following, but here, when like you said, they have, and I'll tell you, I've had white people in the past have donated way more than what I've even asked anybody to donate, even from other countries. And I'm like, wait a minute, I speak on a lot of black issues, but they supporting of it. I've even had Trump supporters that donate and even say, I want you to keep going because I like hearing the other side of the issue. I'm not gonna get into the numbers aspect of it, but if you saw what I saw and what me and my business manager saw, you'd be like, dog, man, like it put you in a different space. Yeah. So if you want things to stay like it is, help it keep going. I don't know how much more I can say that because, you look up on Google where they talk about the YouTube ad boycott. Yeah. Every day, the mainstream media is salivating about that. Exactly. They don't want that to come back because there are people that's walking away from YouTube left and right. I don't know if y'all know that. Yeah. Certain brothers walking away now. You even have some white folks walking away from YouTube because they go on to other platforms. Well,
it takes time. It takes time to dedicate yourself to informing people. Like people who punch a clock may not understand this, and even some other people it takes time. Like right now it's 5:20 in Atlanta. It's 2:20 your time. Like, you know what I mean? Most people are at work right now. We're sitting and having a conversation, and of course I'm trying to, sell my book and promote my work or whatever, but when I finish this, I have to upload a video that I did talking about the Reginae Carter situation. I have another video, a message to the black youth in America. I have another video talking about religion and spirituality. That's going to take my whole weekend to do that. I'm not going to get any money from YouTube, and that's all good because part of my mission is to serve the people. I am a servant, but I got a son. I got to live. You have a family. You have to live. So people who continuously watch your channel and you put up constant content all the time about current events, having different speakers and whatnot. If you've been listening to this brother for the past year and you've never made a donation, but you talking about, what we need to be doing as a community, like start there. If you've been listening to him for more than a month and you've never made a donation, hit that button and send this brother $5 to keep his work going so that when people like me want to come on and stimulate your thought process, this ain't just about us building schools. I'm tired of all the talking. Where's the money? Where's the economics? Where's the schools? Well, you should be building that. So I'm here to help stimulate you mentally and spiritually and emotionally so you can get to work. Because it's not just on me. It's not just on Brother Phil. It's not just on the people that you look to for information. It's on you. So one of the things that you can do is support him, support his platform to make sure he can keep it going, and not just keep it going, but get better. There's levels to this. There's more that he could be doing, more content he could be giving if you actually supported him. Our relationships have to be reciprocal. I don't want nobody in my life right now that doesn't have a reciprocal connection to me, meaning you only take and I give. I've been doing that for 5 years. People have been taking and taking and taking from me. I raise money for the schools. I raise money for the women. I raise money for black businesses. I volunteer at these different, I've given, I've done research after research after research. It's time for it to be reciprocal. So for the people who watch your show and who support what you do and tell you how much they love you and put comments and say, could you talk about this? Can you do a video about this? Can you have this person on? Yeah, I can. Send a $5 donation.
Yeah, you hate to say it like that, but it just
that's for you.
It's kind of where we.
You can't say it. I'll say
it. yeah. You hate to say it, like at least in my position. Like I said, I hate talking about money. I do. I rather just do the conversations we doing now, putting up the news stories and just keeping you guys happy. That's what I prefer to do. Trust me, that's my heart. Yeah. That's why I'm at with it. But right now, and thank God for those people. We have 700 patrons, and those patrons told me that either you guys start coming over there or start limiting public uploads. And, if it don't, at least, listen, I think we can get at least how many? We got 700. Why can't we get at least 1,500 of those patrons by, at least the first week of May? I don't see why we couldn't do it for $5 a month. I mean, I don't see it.
People telling me about patrons. I got to look into that.
yeah. Oh yeah. I talked to you about it after we got off the live stream. You will know about that. Okay. But it's a reason. The thing is, if it goes away, then you guys gonna be saying, "What about this? Can you talk about that?" Everybody's calling me. People in the Panthers put me up on some stories. People in the nations talking to me about different things. Everybody is calling me, different groups, to want me to do different things. I want to do that. I need to be the go-to place for the community.
Yeah.
But I got to be here and got to make it, and that's what you guys really don't get and understand. You think it's just a YouTube video we doing. That's what I hear from those who didn't want to support anyway. That's why they say that. You don't realize the IRS taxes we have to pay. You don't realize the franchise fees we have to pay to the state of Texas every year for your LLC. You don't realize the people we have to pay, equipment, light bill that you got to pay, high-speed internet so we can do this live stream without it buffering every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The program we're using that we had to pay $200 for just to run this one program. We have to replace more stuff on top of other projects that we have. It costs money, guys. I mean, nobody gives you nothing for free.
Yeah.
They really don't. So if you support the platform, like I say, just do it on Patreon, minimum $5 a month. And I thank everybody, the 700 people that have done that.
That's dope.
That's great. I mean, we have Zaza. We have 634,000 subscribers, but yet only 700 people on the Patreon.
But you. I mean, it's the numbers don't. You know what I mean? It's disheartening. But you got 700 ride or dies. You know what I'm saying? You got 700 ride or dies. That's the glass half full. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully the people that are listening will, kind of get inspired to activate. 600 and some odd thousand followers that's like me. I have all together on my social media. I think I have like 70, 80,000 followers. You know what I mean? And I have a campaign. I thought I was going to raise the money with my eyes closed. Like I told you, not because it's who I am, but it's because of what I've given. I've given the amount of money I'm asking for like 3 or 4 times in the past, out of my work and my time. And I was like, okay, so what do those 70,000, 80,000 people, like, what does that really mean in real time? You know what I mean? If we can't activate our people in a way that they get active and actually, instead of standing on the sidelines, actually getting involved. And like I said, not if it ain't me, if it ain't Brother Phil, then it should be somebody. You should be actively right now supporting somebody. I give $50 a month to the Sister Cypher support group. That money's going straight to Black women. It's already accounted for in my budget. $50 every single month is going to my sisters. That don't even include everything else. So, like I said, hopefully people will, support you, and whether it's Patreon or whether it's sending a donation or whatever. I appreciate what you do, and I watch your videos all the time, and we need you to keep going.
Yeah, and I just want to say something before I wrap up. Like I said, myself, I support people on Patreon too, other content creators, and I don't give them $5 either. And I don't. And another thing, I don't ask them, "What are you going to do with it?" I support them. I like what they do, so I want them to keep going. I understand what they go through, so I want to make sure to at least put my hat, in a bucket, some way, form, or fashion, because I want platforms to keep going. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, like I said before, you don't appreciate what you got until it's gone. Oh. And just always remember that. Trust me, if you ever had a relationship and you lost it because you messed up, and you yearn that relationship, maybe even to this day, just remember that that's how it is when you got something good. When it's gone, it's gone. And also these folks, and you know what folks I'm talking about, they are watching. Trust me on that, they watching. Yeah. I did a live stream in my car, talking about the Trump supporters need to sign up for the military. And I had local media out of Kansas on that stream. Mm. Okay, it's a lot of mainstream, CBS, Evening News, and all these different ones are watching. I know how to see who's watching my channel. Trust me, they watching. Yeah. You think if I get too frustrated and they catch me being frustrated, they won't come in my email back door and say, hey, you could sell us the platform. You could do this. You could do that. These people are slick. Yeah, they are. They extremely slick. Y'all know the game they play. Yeah. So let's not even deal with that problem. Money should not even be an issue. It shouldn't be. Let's support. Like I said, we got 700 people. Thank God for those 700 people. We just need, to hit the 3,000 goal, and we can keep rocking it out. That's what I want. I just want to put the content out for y'all, and that's mostly about it. But thank everybody for listening. Join us on this live stream. Yeah, they watching. you know they watching. But thanks for joining us on the live streaming, guys. See you next time.